Yo, what up? It is day 8 of Azumi game dev. Shit. Alright, so I got a lot to talk about today, and not really even so much about the game. Not a lot happened with the game today. Today is an important day just for me personally because it's 1 month until I turn 30. And I've made a lot of changes in my life the last couple months to try and make sure I'm as close to who I want to be by the time I'm 30 as possible. So I really want to get this game done in the next month. Or, I mean, not a whole game, obviously, but like a level, a vertical slice, a demo, something. I want to get to 30 with that. Other things I've been doing is like 3D was the first thing, game dev was the second thing, going to the gym, and changing my diet. I just started the keto diet because of Ben Saint. I already have the keto flu. I feel absolutely terrible. Last time I tried going low carb, I got really sick, so I'm expecting the next week and a half to be absolutely miserable, which will make game dev progress even harder. But yeah, bad news is that I'm probably going to have to rebuild a lot of the game. And the reason for that is I made the same mistake I did with Godot. I thought that this engine would work in such a way that I wouldn't run into this problem, but I absolutely am. And that is not using a state machine or states of any sort. And I'll try and explain what I mean by that. Traditionally in video games, as I've come to understand, is that player movement and control is separated into different blocks of code that operate independently from each other, and they kind of transition from one to the other depending on what you're doing. Like if you're jumping, you're running code that's isolated from everything else and just controls the jump, so nothing else interferes with it until the jump ends, or you can trigger something to make you leave that jump state and go to a different state, for example, shooting a gun or running or something like that. For really basic games, you don't really need to have states, but as the game gets more complicated, they become very helpful because you start running into like, I'm going to say redundancies, but conflicts. And I thought Construct 2 was designed in a way that it kind of took care of those things, but now that I have a bunch of stuff going on with Izumi, I realized that no, it still absolutely needs state machines, and it's not really designed to have states or state machines, so I gotta kind of try and find a way to like finagle it, which means I gotta redo everything. Let me give you an example to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, let me open up the game. That's not it. Okay, everything's really laggy right now. There we go. Okay, so right now I have no states. Everything is just set to work all at the same time. One of the things I was having problems with, which kind of made me realize, oh god, I'm going to need states, is that before when I was running and tried to attack, it wouldn't play the attacks because you were running, and the running would override the attack. Because if the character's moving, play the run. But if you're moving and like you're about to hit an enemy or something, for example, you try to attack before, it wouldn't stop. But you can see now, it doesn't stop all the way. It just slows it down. And I have it set up that with some like true-false things, like if attacking is true, don't move or slow down the movement or whatever. The problem is, all of the controls in this game are running at the same time. So if you ever hit multiple buttons, things start to get hairy. The current conflict I'm at right now is, let's say, when I attack, you can say I go slowly while I'm attacking because I've set it to just set the movement to as close to 0 as possible. This is just bad design on my end, but it lets me explain this better. So you can see when you move, it's normal. When I start attacking, it tries to set it as close to not moving as possible. That's great. But what if I attack and then immediately jump? So now, it didn't do it this time. Maybe it won't do it this time now that I have it set up. Oh, there we go. You can see while you're jumping, it's while you're jumping. So now normally if I hit movement and jump, you can see I can jump pretty far. But if I attack and then jump, it still thinks I'm attacking and will try and slow the movement. So if you jump and then hit attack by accident, your jump arc immediately stops because all of these things are running on top of each other, and it's just kind of a luck that I've gotten them to work so far. But now that I've put all these functions into the game, now they're starting to overlap and conflict with each other. So if I just jump normally, I can jump like this. But if I start jumping and then hit attack, it immediately reduces my vector X movement on the X-axis and I stop. Because even though I'm not attacking, the logic thinks I'm attacking right now, even though nothing's happening. Because there's no way of like keeping these separate from each other. Ideally, once I hit the attack button, it would take me into the attack state, and then all the other functions would stop working until the attack is done. But right now, they're all kind of vying for dominance at the same time. So, yeah, I gotta basically set up a variable on the character, like a state variable. And so instead of hitting the X button and attacking, what I need to have that X button pressed do is enter the attack state. And then in the attack state, I put all the logic that controls the attack. So once you're in the attack state, all the other code for stuff that isn't attacking won't run because you're not in that state anymore. It's really annoying, and I don't like it. It kind of sucks. Because I was, like, really hyped for today's vlog. So I'm going to be like, oh, I got a month to go, but I'm making really good progress. Yesterday was great. And then this bombshell drops in, and I'm like, oh, actually, I'm probably going to have to rebuild nearly everything from scratch to make it work with states. So I'm technically starting over now. Probably tomorrow because it's a little late, and I've been just trying to deal with this. And the more I patched up one animation, it would start conflicting with another one, and it just became very obvious that no, I'm running the same problem I did with Godot. I need to set up states or this isn't going to work. You know, back when I started, I only had running and jumping, and if you only have running or jumping, you don't really need states because there's just a couple conditions for your character. But I have dodging, and I have attacking and 3 different modes of attacking, and I have shuriken throws, and I got jumps and wall grabs, and there's too much. You can see I actually updated the grab, or the wall slide, to an animated version, which is nice. But again, that had a bunch of conflicts because, like, oh, it's your falling. You should play the falling animation, not the slide animation. So I had to set up a bunch of bullshit like true/false statements, like, if slide is true, don't play fall. It's a nightmare. And you can see right now I can't dodge because again I don't have states. So right now, because I accidentally flipped before I left the wall, it thinks I'm still on the wall, and I have it set so if you're on the wall you can't dodge. So now I can't dodge until I jump back on here, let go, come down, and now I can dodge. So there's tons of fucking problems with the way this is set up. And states, setting up a state machine is the only way it's going to be fixed, which means retooling almost everything that I've done so far. So, fuck. Luckily, because this isn't like raw programming and it's all just like events, I can probably drag and move around a lot of the events so I don't have to like recode everything like I had to do in Godot. I had to like code everything again from scratch, which was really annoying. I don't know. I picked a bad time to start dieting and getting the keto flu, because doing this with a clear head is going to be bad enough. But now I'm going to have a migraine for the next week. That's all I got. I got to sit here and try and figure out a way to set this up.